Hello guys, this is ninth tutorial of ASP.NET MVC series. I am Yasir and today we are going to learn how to send data from controller to view. So guys, so far we did not send any data from controller to view. We just learned how to add views to some action methods of some controller and how to render that specific view to the user by visiting some kind of URL, like we visited home/index, home/about, and like we tested test controller, and we did practice by visiting test/demo or test/index. But for now that was enough for understanding how to add views to some action method or how to visit the views. But now we are in a need that we can send, how can we send data from controller to view. So we have different techniques here guys. We can send data from controller to view by using following techniques. These techniques are used differently for different purpose, like ViewBag, ViewData, tempdata, session, cookies, and models. Guys, ViewBag and ViewData, as their name suggests, that ViewBag and ViewData can only be used if you are just sending data from one action method to its respective view. If there happens some redirect, like if you are in index view and you say, let's say if a variable value is less than 1, let's say int x is less than 10, and you want to redirect to some other action method, and then you are going to use ViewBag, that will not work, because whenever a redirect happens, ViewBag and ViewData do not work there. They work the temp data. Okay guys, so this is the basic difference between ViewBag, ViewData, and temp data. We will, don't worry, we will be looking all these in detail in this video series, and you will be getting better understanding by the examples. So we can use sessions, cookies, and models to send data from view to controller, and we can render data using our own logic on the view. So let's fire up Visual Studio, and today we are going to make a new project, so that this project may just be responsible for sending data from view to controller. So we click on create new project, and we name it here as send data. Add the project, click OK. This will take a while to load the core libraries and references for ASP.NET MVC application. So guys, today we are going to learn how can we use different ways to send data from controller to view. So basically our views are we know that they are the presentation layer, so we do not code there. Like let's say we are going to fetch some data from database or from some service, we are not going to do that kind of programming at views page, because controllers are here for helping us to fetch data from database or some APIs, or even from some kind of strings or arrays, and we can then send that data to the view, and we can request view to render that kind of data. So guys, now we have added we have created a new project successfully, which have this by default home controller, and this has got some views. but for now we are going to add our own action method so that we can understand how can we add the how can we send the data from that kind of controller action method to its respective view. So we name it as demo send data. This is our action method we are going to add because it does not have a view, so we are going to add a view to this action method demo send data, and we keep it simple as empty without model, and we leave all the options as it is, and we add the view. So we can use ViewBack ViewData to send data to this view. For now we are going to delete this line of code, and we can run it here, Control F5, by pressing Control F5, and we can view this static demo send data head. So we can see the URL, it's home/demo send data. Okay guys, this URL is saying that it's going to render some view that is responsible under the home controller and demo send data action method. So it renders the view demo send data, but now we are going to send data from this controller action method to this demo send data, and we want to display it somewhere here. Like if I say I add some h3 here, and I say hello, this data is being, sorry, we can write it something when we send data from here, like I write here. First technique, we are going to use our first technique, that is using ViewBack. So for that we are going to create a variable using ViewBack, and you can it has the convention to name it like you put dot after ViewBack and you put the variable name of that ViewBack. Like if we declare some kind of other variable, int x is equal to 10, let's say, but here we follow the syntax ViewBack dot and then we put the variable name. Like I put the variable name as let's say I call it as data, and let's say I pass it some kind of string or anything we want to assign it to. Like I say welcome from demos and action method. Okay guys, so ViewBack is dynamic data dictionary. You can assign any kind of data to ViewBack. Like I just put here string. I can make a new variable ViewBack dot let's say I call it as demo int. I am going to store some integer in here, or I can call as the ViewBack dot let's say float data, and I put here some float data. So ViewBack is very flexible, it can accept any kind of data. Now we have these three kind of variables, and these variables are ViewBack variables. ViewBack means these variables can be used in its respective view. We can go to its view and we can use those variable here to fetch the data stored in these variable. Like if I copy this and I paste it here. So we know if we are going to use C# code, we have to put @ here. Likewise, if I am going to use other variable, I put here another h3 tag and I use this ViewBack demo int variable there, and I can fetch value on the view by using that variable name. Likewise, I can use the third variable name, and we can fetch data from that kind of variable onto the view, and we can render it to the user. So put in here the right sign. Now if I press Ctrl F5, you will see that what data we passed to this variable in action method in controller, that will be showing up here onto the view. So we need to go to home/demo send data. So guys, you are looking, we stored this string in first ViewBag, then we stored this integer in second ViewBag variable, and then we stored this floating number to the third variable of ViewBag. So guys, that is very simple. ViewBag ends here. Now we try to understand ViewData. So ViewData is same like ViewBag, but ViewBag actually was added in C# 4.0 and in later versions, and ViewData was the previous one. It is actually the data dictionary object, and we can use ViewData like ViewBag to fetch the data from controller to its respective view. There is a little bit difference, just we need to pass in the ViewData name in brackets. Like there we in ViewBag case we put dot, but in here we put brackets, and we put the variable name inside that as a string. Like I put here VD that stands for ViewData. In my case, I put here some string, like I say hello ViewData. And likewise, you can store integer or floating point numbers inside this kind of variable as well. Now we quickly try to use this variable on the view, so that we prove it, and we can send data using the ViewData as well. So we put it here and we press Ctrl F5. ViewData and the variable name inside the double quotes. This must render the data inside that variable. Okay. So hello ViewData. So we have successfully learned how to send data using the ViewData. Likewise, we can use tempdata as well. Like it has also the same syntax as the ViewData. Now we just update here temp, and it has the same syntax as ViewData. We put it here temp data, and we put it here as temp data string. Okay guys, now we can easily use this variable to the view here. Control F5, and this must render the value of temp data td to the view that we have just passed it hello temp data from the controller action method. So we have so far we have learned 3 ways to to send data from from controller to the view. Like here you have seen that it is hello temp data that is being sent from controller to the view. Next method is to use session variable. We can use session variable to send data from controller to view. Like I make here a variable called session sd session data is equal to some data using session var variable, and likewise we can use this session variable on view to view the data sent by the session variable. And again we are going to put here @sign, control F5, and this must show the data onto the view, so it must render the data to the view. So we have learned 4 ways to send data from controller to view. Like you can see here, we can send data using the session variable. Now what is the difference between the other variables like ViewBack, ViewData, tempdata and session? All these variables can store objects, strings, integers, floats, but their lifetime differs. ViewBack and ViewData has the same lifetime, like both expires when the respective view occurs, but the temp data has a little bit more time than the ViewBack. But why it has more life we will be discussing in later video sessions, but for now you need to just keep in mind that temp data has a bit more lifetime. It can redirect, it can save data up till the next redirect even. But the session variable, if you have already heard about it, session variables remain alive as far as the your browser is open. Like if you close this browser, the session variable's life will end, otherwise the session variable will remain alive. Okay, now we are going to use the 4th type of variable, that is cookies, to send data from controller to view. So first of all, you are going to make a variable http cookie, name it something like cookie, you can name it as you want, new cookie, and you pass in here the name of the cookie, like I set here profile. Now we add some cookie details here, like I pass in here cookie dot let's say I say here username is equal to Yasir. Here you must pass it as string username. The cookie user variable name must be as string inside the braces by using this variable cookie. Okay, and you can even store password to be, let's say I say admin. And now if I want to use these variables values onto the view, I can go to view and I should be using the variable names. Like I add here h2 and I put here some logic to let's say I say hello Mr. @cookie. Now we are going to get cookie by using this kind of method. I have already typed in the code to save some time. like I just first of I remove it. I use the C# syntax. Here I put this code inside this C# block, and you know, I have made a cookie variable and I requested the cookies to be fetched, and that cookie which is named as profile, I have fetched that, and I am storing the username from the cookie username, and I store the password, string password is equal to cookie password. Now we can say something here like there is no point in declaring h2 there. You can declare h2 here. Now we say welcome Mr. and @username. We may say here your password is password. So for the sake of understanding, we are fetching the username and password from the controller that we have just added here, and we are going to fetch that username and password, and we are just going to display, for the sake of understanding, that we can use cookies to send data from controller to view. So it must load the values from the action method's cookie variable and must render the value to the user. But here we get an exception. An unhandled exception occurred during the execution of current web request, and it has some kind of null reference exception. We need to check whether the user name cookie is defined in controller. Let's check it. User name, it is defined, and here we are using user name. Cookie username is defined. Okay, we again check that is profile there. Let me check it. Profile here, it's okay. We again run the project and check if there is some errors. Again the same error is happening here. What is the problem behind the scenes? We place a breakpoint to check whether everything is going good in controller, and then we run it. So guys, as I have already promised you guys that whatever the error will come, we will be solving that error on the fly, so that you may also learn how to Google the errors if there are any. So we press, so if we click, here are the view, we must be rendering F11. Now if I mouse over our cookie, it has keys, username, values are username Yasir Bilal and password is equal to admin. Values are being stored. We click continue, but we get an error over here. Object reference not set to an instance of cookie was null. There is some kind of error here. Username is equal to username. Let me check it. Cookie username, it must work. Okay guys, cookie, let me must work guys. Let me check it again. Username, and we put here username. Okay, let me again check. One thing we have missed, that is one line of code here, that is we created the cookie, we did not added those cookies to the response. We need to add these cookies to the response. For that we are going to add one line of code here, response dot cookies dot add cookie, and cookie, here we place some cookie dot expires dot add days. We say here this cookie must remain alive for 2 days. Now we press Ctrl F5 and we can see the output. So guys, whenever you make cookies, you know cookies are the variables that are stored inside the browser of your sorry, there is some kind of error here. Let me go to this. Let's build the project again. Build project, run the project. So I think it's running fine now. So you have we have successfully added cookies in controller, and we are going to view the data using the cookie. We are welcoming Mr. Yasir Bilal, that is inside cookie, and its password is admin. So we missed one thing here. Cookies must be added before we can use their values, and we add cookies to the response stream so that we can use it in later in any controller or any view or something. So last but the not least is the fetching data using the models. So for models we add one model here. Model is nothing but a class. We make a class like I make a class here. I name it as profile, or I call it as student, and I add some properties here. I write prop and I double tab and I introduce the property ID, press enter, come to the next line, next property. I may take string as name, then I take as string mobile. So that's it. Now we should pass we want to pass data to the view from the controller using the models. So we have made a model class that is called as student. We make its object here, like I say here student, and its namespace is missing. Control dot, or you can press here on bulb sign, and you can click add, and student is equal to new set its properties here. Student dot id, let's say, is equal to 123. Student dot name is equal to Yasir Bilal, because it's a string, we need to pass the value as string. Student dot mobile is equal to, it's also a string, we pass here the mobile number. And now we want to pass this object to the view, and we want to show the detail of this student object. So for that we are going to pass this to the controller, to the view as a parameter. If I show you the overloaded versions of this method, we can use this overloaded version where we can pass object. So we pass the object student, and we must be using this object on the view, so that we can populate data using that object. For that we use here add model and add model, and we are going to use the namespace here, this namespace, whatever your namespace is, we are going to use this namespace, and then we are going to refer as dot student. We are telling this view that this view is going to accept a single instance of this namespace dot student class. In other words, this view will only be rendered if its respective action method is sending an object that matches with this class name. Okay, and now we are going to populate the values of that object over here. For that we use HTML dot DisplayFor. DisplayFor method is used to render the name of the property. Like, you can use the lambda expression. Lambda expression is nothing but to is the temporary variable name of the model that is passed here. We say x such that x dot id, and this will populate the name of the property id, that is actually id, and we place colon here, and we again say here HTML.DisplayFor. DisplayFor will work to fetch the value of the variable. But display name will fetch its value. If it's confusing for a moment, please don't worry, when we run it you will understand it. Okay guys, x dot id, display name for x such that x dot id. Now it will work fine, I think. Display for, again we copy and paste for other properties, and we change the property names. Like second one was name, you can see the IntelliSense dot name, and the next is the last property, that is dot mobile, and we take here as mobile. Now if we run the project, it must load the values of the student object one by one. By first on the left hand side it must load the property name of that object properties, and on the right hand side it must load the value of that property that we are passing it from the controller. You can see here, first one is id, then colon, then 123, then name, then colon, then Yasir Bilal, then mobile, then colon, then mobile number. And you can you can add here HTML breaks to make it more clear. You can refresh it. Now you can see it is properly added here. So at HTML.DisplayNameFor method is used to display the name of the property of the object we have here. Like if the object's first property is id, this name will be rendered here. Mean to say, the name of the property will be rendered by the DisplayNameFor method, and we pass the lambda expression here, and we specify the property name, that is in this case id, and in this case name, and in this case mobile. And after that we are using at HTML.DisplayFor, not DisplayNameFor. Here is DisplayFor, and DisplayFor method is used to render the actual value of that variable, like id, name, and mobile. And these variables have values inside this student object, which is being passed from the action method of its respective controller. You can see here we are passing the student object that has got id, name, and mobile number. So guys, do practice these 5 techniques to send data from controller to view. And if you are used to it, and you are very familiar, and you have done a lot of practice on it, you will be finding these techniques very useful in your any kind of project, whether it is a small one, a mini project, or it's a big or a business application. You will be definitely benefiting from these techniques. So guys, this was a bit longer session, but don't worry guys, if we are having some errors, we are going to resolve those errors on the fly, so that you can understand what kind of problem can be. Like if we get cookie null because cookie was not being returned to the response, and the lifetime of cookies can be any number you add in here. Like if you want to add 30 days, you just put it here 30. So your user profiles on Facebook are stored by cookies, and your sessions are also very important. So guys, if you are in need of some kind of documentation, you want to study the theories behind these things, you can visit Google MSDN, that is Microsoft Developer Network for theories. But I mainly focus on the practical things here and real world examples here, so that you may convert the real world problems into the software solution, and you may learn how to code efficiently. So guys, that's it for this tutorial. Please do subscribe my channel, and give thumbs up and press the bell icon. And if you have any suggestions or any queries, you are very welcome, and you can add comments in the comment section below, and I will be definitely responding you people, because I need you guys to learn as much as I can make you understand. Thanks guys, take care and have a great day.